you kind of try to do a bit of due diligence, try to understand who you're dealing with. Sometimes it's tough, but it's hard to find bad people in craft beer, to be honest with you. Like everyone's pretty standout.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to All Beer Inside Quarantine editions of the episode. Joining us this week, we have Seb. He's also known as Hops R Us on Instagram.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for taking time in your schedule to speak with us today. Really appreciate it. Before we get to talking and doing the interview, as we usually do for most shows, we're going to share a virtual beer. Let the audience know what you're drinking.
So tonight I'm drinking Mellön. It's a new brewery out of Montreal. They're about a month old. It's called Give Pilz a Chance. It's a pun on words. It's a Pilsner. It's 5%, 30 IBUs. Yeah, great can art. Loving it.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to get to them yet. They are on the list of future breweries. I know there's them and Mutsoid, or Mutant as it's called. I haven't unfortunately hit those yet. I'm drinking from one of your more recent posts, Kahnawake and Livingstone's English IPA.
Nice.
As you've seen, Drew was our number 2 interview. Livingstone is in the future. So I look forward to sharing this virtually with you. And as we do as we can, we're going to do a virtual toast. A toast.
Cheers.
Oh, malty IPA. So nice.
It's that one is so good. Wow. I miss IPAs like that.
It's to me, it's almost a mix of a bitter and an IPA. This is really fantastic.
It's delicious.
Kind of sad that Christoph has left for back to Europe, but he does have a new co-brewer, which I look forward to trying their beers once we can get back into Kahnawake and start drinking beer again.
Yeah.
What's your beer story? What brought you to beer and Instagram and combining your love of craft?
So basically, I got into craft beer about, I would say 10 years ago. My buddies just called me up saying, we're going to hit up a different pub this time. And that pub was Brewery. On Belormier.
Mm-hmm.
So we got there and I walked in and I was so super impressed because I grew up in the East End of Montreal. We don't have pubs like that. Now we have bars with tinted windows and just red and blonde on tap and slot machines, stuff like that. So, when I walked in, I saw the tables had all the beer stickers on them, 15 plus beers on tap. I was really impressed, I have to say. And we just started ordering beers, and I was just all the variety, all the different colors, the flavors, the aromas. It really caught my attention. So much so that I decided to attend this beer class that Brewery offers through Bière et Plaisir. It's this Belgian dude. His name is Philip Wooters. It was a 5-week course. We met once a week. And, I started learning more that way. The first week was pretty much like brewing styles and tasting notes. The second week, we dived into the UK. Third week, Germany. Fourth week, Belgium. And the last week was like a cheese and beer pairing, like a food pairing. So it was super cool. And ever since then, we pretty much became regulars. We go there pretty often, me and my buddies. Then obviously we have Mondial de la Bière. We're very fortunate. So I started doing that every year. I even volunteered one year.
Cool.
Yeah. They had one year, they had Birra Balladin from Italy. I think they're from Rome. Mm-hmm. So I volunteered there. I was placed there. It was super cool experience. I will definitely do it again. And here we are today, 10 years later.
That's great to hear. And so I see you only started the Instagram December of 2020. What made you finally get to the Instagram and doing that full time, more or less?
So, with COVID and not being able to go to pubs and go to breweries, I found myself buying more and more cans. I never used to do that. I used to never have beer in the fridge. It was always going straight to the pub or to the brewery. And also that we're stuck at home. I was bored. So I figured, what can I do to that reflects one of my passions, but at the same time, it's a hobby of mine. So I decided to create this page, and I wanted to to separate it from my personal page, because like the people that follow me there they won't really care if I post beer every day, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided to separate it, and I am a little camera shy, which is why I don't really show my face. It's the first time I'm showing my face. Yeah, seriously. But I wanted it to be like a platform where I could really share my experiences drinking beer with the rest of the craft beer community. And I chose like Hops Are Us. I didn't want it to be about me,
mm-hmm.
you know. I wanted to make it as inclusive as possible. No biases. So it's open to all genders, all ethnicities, all sexualities, all backgrounds. No judgment. It's a safe space, a positive place, not a place for confrontation, for hate. That's why the first thing in my bio says, you know, everybody love everybody.
Yeah, that's super important, especially now. So.
Yeah, I mean, when I designed my logo, I made sure there was a peace symbol in that as well. So I'm really trying to incorporate that as much as possible. You know, I'm still learning. It's still new to me. It's only 6 months old, the account. But you know, I have things planned for the future. I would definitely want to make it grow into something more for sure.
The photos are speaking for themselves. I'm a fan of consistency. It's like an OCD thing, and your photos are very consistent. It looks like it's I'm assuming your kitchen table or like a playroom table area where it's just like, here's the picture, can on this side, beer on this side, and then you do your description, which I also like is your descriptive, but how you start with the pour, then the nose, then the sip, just like Beer Me Canada does. Except she adds like a little emoji. that's the only difference I see. So I love reading descriptive. You could tell that you obviously have an informed palate. So it's very nice to see these things. And like you say, you are about supporting local, and it's, from what I'm seeing, 90% Quebec. So
yeah, the one-off Ontario beer, but yeah, the majority is Quebec for sure.
Yeah. So you said you discovered Brouhaha to discover your craft beer journey. Do you remember those first couple of like craft beers that were like, this is it, these have flavor I love, I'm sticking to craft beer?
Yeah, so they brew their own beers, some beers in-house. They have usually 2 or 3 or 4 on the menu, and then they'll have some guest beers on top as well. One of their house beers is called the Blanche Soleil. And I'm pretty sure that was the first beer I ordered at my first time there. And you know, it's not, when you're used to drinking Rickard's whites or you know other blanches, like terrible blanches like that, something like that will blow you away. You know, I remember also having ESBs, traditional best bitters, there as well. That really caught my attention as well. They're heavy. They like to brew Belgian beers, a lot of Belgian beers as well. I had some of their Belgian beers as well, and the yeast profile is so different. It blew my mind how much of a difference that can make. Mm-hmm. So all that variety, and it just drew me in. Like it was just like, take my money, you know.
yeah. I know the take my money thing. Whenever I hit an LCBO in Ontario, it's, I spent $300 in beer. Fantastic. Now, your name is Hops Are Us. What made you decide on that? Not like Hops for Everyone, or, you know, everyone loves hops, things like that.
Well, I knew that I didn't want to use my real name. That's for sure. I wanted it to be something relevant within the industry. And I knew that I wanted it to be inclusive. So I thought about it for a while before I actually created the page. And I fell on that. I felt like it combined everything that I was looking for. You know, there's really not much more to it than that. I tried to be a little clever, making it kind of sort of a pun, but I mean, yeah.
Now, when it came to you first of all, your photos, what made you decide to stick with that kind of consistency across your images? Like, I mean, obviously, yeah, we're all stuck inside, but you're really, really consistent about beer on the right, glass on the left. What made you decide like that's how my pictures are happening?
So when I first started the page, I was just posting a picture. I wasn't even putting a review. I was just posting the picture with the name of it. And as I started following more pages and getting more into, let's say, the social media craft beer community, and I started noticing, everyone has this sort of a style, and it's consistent. And so I wanted to be, professional and look be like everyone else too, who's been in the game for a while. So I figured, why I can do this as well. So I started playing around with it, different poses, different ways to write it out. But what you've seen now, basically since the end of February, March, it's been pretty consistent since then in terms of beer on the right, glass on the left, and the structure of my description is I try to be as consistent as possible, so that when you come to my page, you know exactly what you're going to get.
You've obviously had a craft beer journey going on a decade now, but with your Instagram the last 6 months, when you were getting together with friends, you had somebody kind of new to the group come in. How would you recommend a beer for them to try?
I'm a little lucky in the sense that most of my friends are also foodies. So they're curious, right? Like they want to try, even if it's new, they want to try, they want to give it a chance. So instead of I don't really explain to them styles and whatnot. I just ask what kind of flavors do you like? Do you like bitter? Do you like toasty? Do you like sour? And then based on that, I'll make a recommendation on the menu, so they know what to expect. It's not much of a surprise once they're finally tasting it, because I'll tell them what to expect. That's usually how I go about it, to be honest. For someone who's not curious into tasting new things and that, you can't go wrong with a crispy. Start with that. Just that already is better than a crispy that you're getting at a depanneur. Yeah. That's had that beer on the shelf for 6 months.
Yeah, 100%. Now, like I mentioned earlier, that you're very descriptive. Do you see yourself doing like a beer judge or a Cicerone or some sort of certification when it comes to beer tasting?
I've thought about it. It's tough though. With a full-time job and a mortgage, it's hard to find that.
Especially now.
I feel like if I were to do something like that, I'd want to commit 100% to it. It's not possible with a full-time job. But I've thought about it. There's the course in Ontario. You interviewed him. Jordan St. John.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's that course that's offered online now that I've been thinking of taking as well. But yes, I've thought about it for sure. Nothing official yet. Just going with the flow. See what happens. But I'd love to, honestly. Yeah.
I know. I was at Ottawa Beer Festival a few years ago, and they had one of the main beer judges, and he's like, "Yeah, you can literally download an app on your phone and have it open the entire time while you're doing the test." I'm like, "So you mean an open book test? This sounds amazing." So I may follow up on that. So you're obviously a homeowner, mentioning you have a mortgage. Are you brewing beer, or do you see yourself doing any home brewing?
I never homebrewed, mainly because living with my parents, not my house. This equipment takes up space. I didn't really have the space to do it. Then I moved out with my girlfriend, who I'm now married to, and it was a small apartment. Again, I didn't have space. But now that I finally have a house and I finally have a basement with a garage, I definitely have the space for it. I'm definitely looking to get into it sooner rather than later. There's a place on the East End. I think it's called. It's on the 40 or Goût et Plaisir. I think.
Sounds familiar.
And they sell all home brewing equipment, all the ingredients too. So yeah, it's in the plans. I've never done it. I have a friend. When I did that course at Brewery, a friend took the course with me. He went on to homebrew. He doesn't do it anymore. He switched to wine. He prefers to make wine. But I'd love to. I definitely want to get into that for sure.
Yeah. We have a friend in the group who homebrews. He made a solid ESB and is like, dude, more, please. Like, keep it up. And the world decided for us to not drink his beer for a while. So I'm looking forward to trying his beer again once we can. So it's I'm sure he's been brewing up some madness ever since he's just been sitting at home like the rest of us working. So
yeah, a lot of breweries start that way. They homebrew for years and years and years, and the demand is there, and all their friends are telling them, you just have to do this. And so it can't be forced. It's got to be organic, and these things take time. So, but you got to start somewhere. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and for sure, I'm gonna get into that.
It's awesome, and there's just so much availability online now. It's not like it was even 5 years ago, where like I go on Pinterest and people are posting beer recipes. So it's fantastic.
It's super accessible.
Yeah,
very easy. Yeah.
So like your Instagram is pretty new, so I'm guessing you haven't collaborated when it comes to your social media influencer life with a brewery. What are maybe one or two that you'd love? Obviously, I'm sure Brouhaha, that's where your craft beer journey began. But what's maybe like one or two other breweries that you'd love to collab and make a beer with and slap your label on?
I'd love to work with Sir John. I love their beers. I love that Vermont style, that green dankness, and that signature that they have in all their beers. I'd love to work with them. And I also have a really soft spot for a brewery that's outside of Quebec, Wood Brothers. It's a special place. Mm-hmm. I don't know how to describe it, but once you get there, you'll feel it.
What's a good way to? It feels like a small version of Hill Farmstead that's just going to get bigger.
Yeah, it's very welcoming and very homey, and it's just a great place. I love going there, and it's very close by. It's not that far. It's maybe an hour's drive from here. So I'd love to work with them as well, for sure. I used to, when COVID first started, they're the ones who got me into buying beer online and keeping it at home. And one of the brewers, Louis, like their customer service is so incredible that the brewer used to come bring it to me. Like we used to meet halfway because of all the restrictions in COVID. I used to meet him at his where he works. I used to get beer from Ontario that way, like, you know. So they're just great folks as well. Everyone there, and they have a special place in my heart. I love that place.
So beercations. I asked two now. One where I have a job, but I have some extra cash and there's not a worldwide pandemic going on. Let's go on a quick week or two beercation somewhere close, even, hop on a 5-6 hour flight and go somewhere. And then the second beercation is I won the Lotto Max. I never have to go back to work again. Like, what are those two beercations that you see yourself doing?
So the expensive, no budget, carte blanche vacation for me would be like Ireland or the UK, especially now with all the hazies, going back to the roots, tasting those low ABV beers that still pack tons of flavor, super malty, cask ales. I love ESBs and brown ales, the nuttiness. So I would love to go to the UK. I've never been.
Yeah, me neither. It's it's like that's I'm sure you're kind of like a European mix like I am, so it's just it's like I gotta get out there at some point.
Yeah, so I spent a month in Europe with a dozen of my friends 5 years ago. It was awesome. So we went to Amsterdam, so I visited the Heineken Museum. And we went to Germany too. I went to Berlin and to Frankfurt. And we weren't there long in Germany. I was there for only 3 days, but we made the best of it, and it was mind-blowing. It's amazing. So they say there's the big three. There's the English, Germany, and Belgian styles. Mm-hmm. Now people would argue American too. So I've been to Germany. I haven't been to Belgium yet. I have family there. I should go, honestly. But if I had to pick, it would be the UK.
What would that short, quick, balls to the wall, barely sleep, but still like have responsibilities vacation that you could go to?
I go Eastern Canada. I want to go to Gaspésie. I want to go to Oval. And on the way back, you do Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, PEI. That's what I would do. I've never been out east, so when I vacation, I don't like to go to the same place more than once, with the exception of New York, because it's just too easy for us to go there. I mean, so yeah, that's what I would do. I would do Gaspésie, Oval right away. An even minier vacation, just a weekend at Sutton, Brasserie Sutton. I've never been there, and I'd love to visit. It looks beautiful.
One thing I forgot to mention. So you do mention on your Instagram you are open for beer trades. How do you feel that goes? I finally sent my first beers out in a beer trade, so I'm a little trepidatious about that. It is to the USA, but how has your beer trade experience gone?
I've never done anything with the States. I'm open to it after COVID. I'm just worried now that it'll get stuck at the border and never get delivered and just go to waste.
Yeah.
No, seriously. But I've dealt with some guys in Gatineau and one guy in Toronto, and it always goes very smoothly, very very respectful, very straight and to the point, no games. Never a question of money. Everyone always gets paid. So like it goes both ways. So the person's buying the beer for you, and they're paying the postage to send it to you, and so are you. So it ends up it's a fair trade. It's a bit more expensive because you have to pay postage.
Yeah.
But it's at least you still get to support a local brewery, and you're able to get things that other people can't. So why not? I mean, if it works out for everyone, in my experience, I haven't had a bad experience yet, to be honest with you. I've heard there's horror stories out there for sure. You kind of try to do a bit of due diligence, try to understand who you're dealing with. Sometimes it's tough, but it's hard to find bad people in craft beer, to be honest with you. Like everyone's pretty standout.
So with things reopening, do you see yourself expanding to doing Instagram outside? Like how do you see that growth of your Instagram with things reopening over the next month?
So I live in Laval, but like right by the water. So like when it cooperates, let's say. For those of you who live in Montreal, you know what I mean. It's beautiful to walk or go for a bike ride along the water, and there's little pit stops with parks and whatnot. So it's great scenery. It's perfect scenery for to create some content for sure. So I have plans on doing that for sure, and obviously going directly to the breweries and creating content there as well. I'm excited for a bit of a change, to be honest. I mean, I'm always worried that it's going to get a little stale. Seeing as how like my pictures are mostly the same and the way I write my content is the same, so I'm always worried about that as well. So I try to keep that in mind. I try to always diversify. I never try to post the same beer style 2 pictures in a row or the same glass. I try to make it really as diverse as possible so that it doesn't get stale, to keep people like interested. Mm-hmm. So those are things that I've thought of, and things that are very easy to do from now till the end of the year for sure, as long as things reopen as planned.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, you don't even stick to the same brewery in your next pictures, at least from what I've seen for the last few months, except for
no.
So That's
I'm heavy a bit on brewski. Sometimes it happens with brewski beers. I'll post 2 brewskis in a row. I have a soft spot for them as well. But yeah, I'm very careful. I really pay a close attention to that to make sure it's never the same beer style, glass, everything. It's got to be different.
No, it's awesome. I love the consistent change. Like I said, your descriptions and all that. One last question before I have you promote everything. Somebody's visiting you from out of town. Let's say one of your beer traders who's never been to Montreal. Obviously, you mentioned Brewski and Brouhaha. But what are some places that you're like, these are the places you have to go for craft beer in Montreal, Laval, South Shore? Like, what are those like 5 locations that you're sending somebody new to the Montreal area to drink craft beer? Brewski,
for sure. Sir John. Cinquième Baron, even though it's out of Montreal. But Cinquième Baron, it's worth the trip. It's not even that far. Mizoram, you have to. You just have to. Honestly, it's something. The attention to detail, the way the brewery is designed, and the way they choose their colors and everything. It's like art almost. For Crispies, if you like Crispies, you have to go to Silo. You have to go to Silo. That's their specialty. But like, I know I'm a bit past 5 now, but like some honorable mentions. I really like what Champ Libre is doing. I really like what Hildegard are doing. Livingstone, L'Ours Brun, Knowlton, Ralbach, OGs, La Souche. There's just too many, you know. But
I know.
We're spoiled.
Yeah,
it's a good thing.
Yeah, Quebec and Ontario are very spoiled when it comes to craft beer. All right, I've got no other questions for you. This has been a fantastic talk today. I really appreciate you taking time in your schedule. Let my audience know how they can find you.
So I'm only on Instagram. You can find me at hops.r.us. No Facebook. It's too toxic.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just horrible, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm only on Instagram for now. Maybe eventually one day a website, a little blog where I can expand a little more, dive a little deeper. But yeah, I've thought about all these things. I'm willing to explore them. The sky's the limit. We'll see what happens.
Awesome. So we're going to add all that in the show notes, so you can just click on the links below in the show notes and add Seb or hops.r.us on your Instagram. As for myself, you can always follow me at Killer Carpe Diem. As for the show, we're at All Beer Inside everywhere on social media. allbeerinside.com or allbeerinside.com is the website. Hopefully it's fixed by the end of the month. There's merch coming out as well. And as I say at the end of all episodes, drink craft, not crap. Awesome, dude. Thanks a lot. I really appreciate this.
Thank you, man.